Hello to you, the fellow travelers of House of Noor. Let me tell you something strange about silence in this era. We are living in a world where it seems nothing is a secret, a world of endless sharing. From the morning coffee, the birthday cakes, the brilliant moments of sunset, to even the tears or the smiles, everything is packaged, edited through layers of glittering filters, and sent out for the whole world to see. We share our pain, we share our joy, we share even the most trivial things. Yet, amidst this noisy marketplace of emotions, do you recognize a paradox? There are people who are completely invisible. They are still there, they still hold their phones, they still scroll through the newsfeed every day. They observe very deeply, they read very carefully, they understand what is going on, but they rarely, or perhaps never, post anything. Maybe you know someone like that, a friend whose profile is gathering dust, whose profile picture hasn't changed in years. Or maybe that person is you, and the question that always hovers in our minds is, why? Why does a person choose to hide when the world out there is screaming for attention? Why do they choose to stand in the shadows when the spotlight of social media is always ready to shine on anyone? It is very easy for us to rush to the conclusion that, they must just be shy, they are too introverted, or even, their life must be so boring that they have nothing to show off. But my dear friend, that is just the tip of the iceberg. That is not the full picture. Beneath that silence is an entire psychological world, complex and fascinating. A world that says a lot about human nature, about how we perceive self-worth, and about a quiet rebellion against a culture obsessed with visibility. The great psychologist Carl Jung once said, a very famous line, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Those who don't post, perhaps they aren't outsiders to the game. Rather, they are the ones practicing a brave journey of looking inside. For some, silence on social media is not emptiness. It is control. It is power. The power to choose what the world is not allowed to know about oneself. We must admit a naked truth. Social media has silently molded how we define ourselves. It is a machine that rewards exhibitionism. It applauds noise. The louder you are, the more engagement. The more you expose, the more recognition. And in that spinning wheel, those who choose to stay in the shade, those who choose stillness, are often the ones who see everything most clearly. They are like the audience members sitting in the very last row of a grand theater. While everyone is jostling to get on stage to play their roles, they sit there, observing without interrupting. They reflect before reacting. They analyze before judging. Imagine a lake. When the surface is agitated by storms and boats, you cannot see the bottom. But when the lake is calm, flat as a mirror, you can see all the way down to the pebbles, the schools of fish swimming beneath. The minds of those who choose silence are like that lake. Recent psychological studies have also found interesting things about this group. People who limit posting often have higher indices of self-restraint, introspection, and emotional independence. Simply put, they are less affected by social comparison. They don't need someone to drop a heart or a like to feel that their day had meaning. They aren't trying to prove who they are to the world. They are busy understanding who they actually are. And in a world flooded with performances, that authenticity becomes rarer and more precious than ever. Today, let's go with House of Noor, deep into the minds of these invisible people. To see that, sometimes, doing nothing is the most powerful action you can take. Let's be honest with each other for a moment. Most of what we post on social media is not merely communication, it is identity crafting. Every carefully angled photo, every status line written and rewritten 3 or 4 times, every check-in at a luxurious location. All of it is an unconscious audition, an audition to seek belonging. Every post of yours, whether accidental or intentional, whispers the same question to the world. This is the person I want you to see. Do you accept me? Do you admire me? Carl Jung, the brilliant analytical psychologist, called this shell the persona, the mask. He said, "The persona is a complicated system of relations between individual consciousness and society, a compromise between individual and society as to what a man should appear to be." On social media, we are wearing the thickest persona masks. We polish the good aspects, hide away the scars, the sadness, or the mundane boredom of daily life. We become excellent editors of our own lives, cutting together the highlights and discarding the messy, behind-the-scenes footage. But when you decide to stop posting, a subtle but seismic shift begins to occur in your consciousness. You begin to detach your self-worth from digital applause. You stop thinking in captions. Before, when seeing a beautiful flower, the first thought popping into your head might have been, how do I shoot this beautifully? What should I write that sounds good? But now, when you put the phone down, you begin to experience that moment for yourself, not for any soulless lens. That is the profound psychological secret of those who choose to live hidden away. They don't hate social media. They aren't anti-technology or anti-social. Simply put, they no longer find themselves in that virtual space. They crave authenticity in a space where everything seems staged. Imagine an artist standing on stage for too long, under the blinding lights. They have to smile, to act according to the script, to please the audience. Eventually, they get tired. They want to step off the stage, remove the makeup, put on comfortable pajamas, and just want to be a normal human being, breathing real air, not the smell of stage powder. The people who don't post, they are the artists who have just stepped off that stage. They refuse to reduce their lives to short bullet points or square photos because they have seen through the truth. Human perception is too easily manipulated. When you understand that a radiant, smiling photo could be taken right after a fit of sobbing, you begin to cherish what cannot be posted. The silence, the depth of emotion, the imperfection, and the naked truth. For many, the decision to disappear from social media often comes after a phase we call emotional burnout. Perhaps before, they too were people who shared everything. They posted photos every day, updated every meal. But then one day, the feeling of reality vanished. They realized that every time they shared something beautiful, they inadvertently created an invisible pressure for themselves. Next time must be more beautiful, more interesting, happier. They were no longer living their lives. They were performing it. They became slaves to the very image they constructed. And so, they withdrew. A quiet retreat. No announcement. I'm taking a break from Facebook. No noisy goodbyes. Just a gradual disappearance from the timeline. But here is what many people misunderstand. Not posting does not mean feeling nothing. The fact that they are silent doesn't mean their life has stopped flowing, or their emotions have died. Conversely, it often means they care too much. They care about full presence. They care about the true meaning of the moment, and they want to protect what is most sacred. There is a very interesting psychological concept called psychological ownership. It is the deep feeling that something belongs to you, a thought, a memory, a private experience. When you post a memory online, that feeling of ownership immediately fades a little. That moment is no longer yours alone. It becomes the communal property of the internet. It opens the door for judgment, misunderstanding, and even ridicule. You hand over the right for others to value your memory by the number of likes. Therefore, those who choose silence are actually the faithful gatekeepers of their soul's garden. They keep their moments inviolable, private, impure. It isn't sadness. It isn't negative withdrawal. Perhaps it is a form of quiet freedom. Try to recall, when was the last time you did something truly meaningful without feeling the urge to share it? When was the last time you had an achievement or a moment that moved you and you kept it entirely for yourself, nurturing it in your heart instead of releasing it onto the network? That snap and post reflex, it isn't natural, my friend. It is the result of conditioning. It is the product of a decade of us being trained by algorithms, by dopamine loops, making our brains equate validation from others with self-worth. When someone steps out of that system, the act may look like a rebellion, but deep down, it is healing. When a person begins to step out of the system of likes and shares, a miracle begins to happen. They start to rediscover the primal simplicity of doing things just for oneself. Picture this. How long has it been since you cooked a delicious meal and enjoyed it while it was still piping hot, instead of struggling to adjust the lighting and arranging the bowls to take a photo as a tribute to Facebook? The food then not only grows cold in temperature, but also grows cold in emotion. But those who choose stillness, they taste the sweetness of the broth. They feel the steam rising from the rice bowl. They travel without needing to tag a location to prove they are somewhere luxurious. They feel sadness or joy without needing to write a long status to explain it to anyone. In that private space, something awakens. That is self-awareness without an audience. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and you cannot become yourself if you are forever busy looking at how others are looking at you." However, we need to look at the issue multidimensionally. Not everyone who chooses not to post does so out of peace or enlightenment. There is a not-so-small segment of people who hide for a different, darker motivation. That is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood. Social media has amplified a subtle form of anxiety that psychologists call self-presentational pressure. This is an exhausting psychological state where you always feel like you are being watched, even when you are alone. It's like living in a transparent glass house where any gesture or word could be stoned by passersby. Many people feel burned out by this. They worry that what they write might not be good enough, deep enough, or worse, ignored. Nothing is more painful than screaming in a crowd and having no one turn to look. So, they choose to retreat. They retreat not because they don't want to connect, but because the price of visibility seems too high. They crave to be seen, but to be seen thoroughly, truthfully, not through superficial swipes on a phone screen. And here is a poetic paradox. Sometimes, the quietest people online are the ones with the loudest inner voices. They are not absent. They are overflowing. Their minds are like a deep ocean. The surface may be calm, not a ripple, but underneath are powerful currents, abundant life, and thoughts swirling ceaselessly. They don't speak, don't post, because they understand that words on social media are often too narrow to contain what they are feeling. They choose stillness over spectacle. There is a philosophical message hidden in that silence. In a world always screaming, "Look at me, pay attention to me," choosing to be invisible is a strong declaration of self-definition. That action is like saying, "I exist beyond your perception." They may still scroll through others' lives, still nod, smile, sometimes feel heartbreak for others, but they rarely project themselves outward because they understand a truth the crowd often forgets. Not every experience is born to be witnessed. The most beautiful, profound things in a human life growth, extreme pain, or the transformation of consciousness often happen in silence, unseen, unposted. And when you have gone through enough of those private transformations, you will realize one thing: being unseen does not mean you become insignificant. On the contrary, darkness and stillness are where identity is formed, not where it is performed. For a tree to reach high for the sun, its roots must silently dig deep into the dark earth. Humans are the same. We are living in a great paradox. Do you see? Social media was born with a mission to connect humanity. But ironically, it often leaves people feeling more isolated than ever. We have thousands of friends, tens of thousands of followers, but no one to call when the heart is unsteady at 2 a.m. When you decide to stop posting, you are taking a bold step. You stop chasing digital closeness to start rebuilding real connections. Your silence on social media is, in fact, an excellent filter. You will start to realize who actually cares about you. You will know who remembers your birthday without a Facebook notification. You will know who is curious enough about your life to send a private message or pick up the phone to call instead of just dropping an obligatory emoji on your post. That kind of connection, raw, unbroadcasted, without an audience, is heavier, warmer, and 1,000 times more real. Those who choose the hidden life, they are living fully in that space. They build relationships that need no proof. They find comfort in unshared moments. They let life happen naturally, without trying to mold it into content. And this leads us to a deeper concept: identity security. It is the psychological state where you know clearly who you are, even when no one is watching. When you feel comfortable in your own presence, you no longer need an audience to validate your worth. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming a whole individual, not fragmented by the desire to please the crowd. It is not arrogance, it is peace. It is the stillness of a mountain. It doesn't need to scream, "I am huge," for people to know it is a mountain. It just stands there, towering and serene. And there is an interesting truth. Ironically, the people who never post are often the ones with the most interesting stories to tell. They have stormy journeys, delicate vibrations, crazy ideas, but they don't scatter those stories carelessly online for the public to critique. They save them. They save them for when they sit across from you, over a cup of hot tea, eye to eye. At that moment, their story is not content to earn likes. It is a gift. It is an exchange of souls. Because for them, true connection is not measured by the number of comments. It is measured by the understanding silences between two people, by eyes meeting, by laughter that needs no witnesses. Those are people who carry a whole world inside them. They process information deeply, they observe ceaselessly, and they understand quietly. They don't need the world to applaud their existence. They just need to live that existence. And perhaps, just perhaps, in a world desperate to be seen as it is today, their silence is not a defect. It is a mirror. It reminds us that not everything meaningful needs to be shared, that sometimes the most human thing you can do is to keep something entirely for yourself. A small secret, a private joy, a beautiful sadness. Keep it, like keeping a precious gem in your pocket, occasionally touching it to feel that you are truly alive. Do you know what is most interesting? The longer you stay away from social media, the more spectacularly your view of the world changes. It is like you have just removed a pair of gray sunglasses you've worn for years. Without knowing, colors suddenly become more vibrant. The green of the leaves seems richer, the yellow of the sun becomes crisper. Time, which used to slip away in unconscious scrolls, now suddenly slows down, warm and deep. Conversations are no longer hurried pleasantries, but become full and complete. That feeling is like stepping out of a noisy, smoke-filled room to breathe the fresh air of early morning. Everything becomes real again. Try to imagine standing before a majestic ocean. If it were before, your first reflex would be to pull out your phone. You struggle to find the angle, adjust the color, film a story. In that moment, you don't really see the ocean. You only see the image of the ocean through a tiny screen. You stand outside that moment. But when you stop performing, you begin to experience. You feel the salty taste of the sea breeze on your lips. Hear the waves crashing like the heartbeat of the earth in sky. You are fully present, whole, and alive inside that moment. That is what social media, with all its convenience, has stripped from us. But the story doesn't stop at feelings or preferences. There is a deeper psychological and biological mechanism operating underneath. It stems from how our brains process recognition. Every time you post a photo and receive a like, a heart, or a complimentary comment, your brain releases dopamine. This is a neurotransmitter related to feelings of pleasure and reward. It is the same chemical that causes addiction to gambling or stimulants. Over time, we begin to crave that feeling of being rewarded. We unintentionally train our brains to only seek what is shareable instead of what is real. Life becomes a hunt for raw materials to produce dopamine. Now, imagine a person brave enough to resist that loop, a person who deliberately disconnects from this virtual reward cycle. That is not indifference. That is discipline. That is a form of admirable mental strength. In psychology, these people often possess a trait called a strong internal locus of control. Simply put, people with an internal locus of control believe that their value, happiness, and peace come from within themselves, not dependent on external factors like compliments, praise, or follower counts. They don't need digital noise saying you are amazing to believe they are amazing. They know it themselves. Carl Jung had a profoundly deep observation regarding this. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. A person with strong inner power chooses to become a version defined by themselves, not a version defined by the algorithms of Facebook or TikTok. And here is something even more interesting. Scientific studies have shown that people who regularly take breaks from social media often have significantly higher emotional stability and life satisfaction. Why is that? Because when your identity is no longer constantly scrutinized, distorted through the lens of others, it becomes solid. It becomes real. You no longer have to edit your life into easily digestible snippets for the crowd. You begin to live your life with all its complexity, messiness, yet beauty and originality. And perhaps that is the greatest rebellion in this era. Keeping oneself whole in a world that always seeks to tear us into shreds of information. However, We must be fair. Not every silence on social media equates to absolute serenity. Sometimes, that silence hides exhaustion. For so many, social media was once where they sought connection and joy, but eventually, it turned into a place that drained their energy. There is a subtle fatigue that creeps into the soul when you have to witness the highlight reels of hundreds of other people every day, while you yourself are struggling to piece together the messy fragments behind your own scenes. You start to compare, even though you know you shouldn't. You can't stop the stream of thought. Why are they so successful? Why is their life so brilliant? What am I doing with my life? Those questions erode our self-esteem bit by bit. You start doubting your own value, even when you know clearly that what is online is just a mirage. And then, at some point, some people decide to step out of the game. Not out of bitterness, not out of jealousy, but for self-preservation. They realize a liberating truth. They do not owe the world a performance. They don't owe anyone an explanation for their silence. They have no obligation to prove, I am happy, for others to believe they are happy. This is one of the quietest, but most earth-shattering truths of our generation. We have inadvertently equated visibility with value. We assume that to be important, we must be noticed. For an event to have meaning, it must be recorded. But my friend, true meaning needs no witnesses. Think about the moments that defined who you are today. Were they the times you got the most likes? Or were they the nights you stayed up awake thinking about your life's direction? The moment you quietly helped a stranger? The time you cried alone and then stood up stronger by yourself? The greatest moments of a human life often happen in silence. No camera, no caption, no audience, just you in the universe. And perhaps that is what those who don't post understand best. They know that privacy is not loneliness. It is intimacy with oneself. Carl Jung called this inward turning process a dialogue with the self. He believed that only when we separate ourselves from the noise of the collective can we hear the voice of our own soul. When you stop broadcasting every thought outward, you begin to hear the sound of yourself returning. You start to reconnect with the parts that were lost in the noise. Those are the hidden desires. Those are the fears never dared to be named. That is the inner compass that has been covered in dust. In the context of the modern world today, that act of returning carries a deep spiritual color. It is not a cowardly retreat. It is a homecoming. Returning to your own home, cleaning it, lighting it up, and living in it fully. Of course, this journey is not always paved with roses. There will be times you doubt. Am I being forgotten? Am I falling behind when everyone else is showing off their progress? That feeling is real. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is real. But if you patiently pass through that turbulence, you will notice a quiet beauty beginning to manifest. You realize that your value does not disappear when no one sees it. It is still there, solid, stable, like the warm hum of a quiet room after a great storm. And perhaps that is the true shape of confidence, not the noisy declaration of the ego online, but the certainty, the calmness of the ego offline. There is a half-joking question people often tell each other. If you don't post it online, did it really happen? A question that sounds absurd, but accurately reflects the reality trap we are caught in. But let House of Noor tell you this. The truth is, the things that define you most deeply rarely ever appear on the newsfeed. Your maturity, the times your heart broke, the quiet victories when you overcame your own fears, the nameless acts of kindness, all those things, they live in memory, in your cells, in your eyes, not on data storage clouds. And perhaps that is enough. Psychologists, when talking about authentic self-expression, often mention the concept of congruence. It is the perfect alignment between the person inside you and the person you show to the outside. But in the age of filters, that congruence is constantly distorted. We begin to live as an edited version in exchange for applause. So, when someone chooses not to post, it could be their way of protecting their congruence. They are protecting that fragile truth between the inner world and the outer world. Carl Jung left behind a quote that I believe is a compass for souls seeking this stillness. I'd rather be whole than good. Whole here means accepting even the hidden corners, the sadness, the imperfections that social media often denies. Those who choose silence, they don't need the whole world to see their emotions, to confirm that those emotions are real. They don't need to photograph every sunset to remember how the evening wind felt blowing through their hair. They live their lives fully and quietly. And here is the final paradox. The people who live quietly are often the ones who feel life most intensely because they aren't distracted by having to perform that life. They absorb the details others miss. They see how the light changes on an old wall in the late afternoon. They hear the hesitant silence before someone speaks words of love. They hear laughter echoing from a distant, empty street. They are present, and presence is the rarest currency in a world built on attention. Sometimes, that presence makes them misunderstood. People might label them as distant, mysterious, or even cold. But if you look closer, their silence is not emptiness. It is depth. It is the serenity that comes from no longer needing to explain oneself, to be understood by others. There is a quiet confidence that comes from not needing to be known by everyone, but just needing to be deeply understood by a few. And that is what those who don't post hold. They understand that not every truth is for the crowd, that there are parts of your soul that deserve to be kept intact, untouched by algorithms or conflicting streams of opinion. Because once something becomes public, it is no longer purely yours. It belongs to interpretation, judgment, and fleeting trends. And perhaps some moments are too sacred to be turned into that. So, the next time you notice someone who never posts, don't rush to assume they are hiding or their life is boring. Maybe they are living very brilliantly. Maybe they have found peace in the quiet corners of existence, places not illuminated by the blue light of phone screens. Maybe they are the ones who have remembered what the rest of us have accidentally forgotten. That being unseen does not mean being lonely. That being silent does not mean being empty. That sometimes the most authentic expression of being yourself is silence. Because after all, we were born not to become performances. We were born to be flesh and blood humans. And those who don't post in their silence, unfiltered, beautiful, and invisible, they are reminding us of that every day. Thank you for listening to House of Noor. Try putting your phone down for once and truly live for yourself right now.